We're going to have, honestly, guys, it's just our opinion. Dan, we're still talking about NRL in Vegas, which to me says it was a resounding success. Dan sent me a video with an American dude talking about an American's perspective on the NRL games in Vegas yesterday, which I watched. As I sent to you, the most annoying thing about it was the American accent.
Oh, yeah. I did see your reply to that this morning. Yeah.
So what the guy did, what was his name?
Oh, yeah. So his name... I'm just going off how he said his name, of course. So I think it's Cheyenne Hollis from the Touchback on YouTube.
Cheyenne Hollis from the Touchback.
He did what I thought was a really good video on YouTube. I thought it was really interesting to get an American's perspective on the game.
The guy apparently loves rugby league as well.
Yeah. He said some really interesting things about it. I've gone through in detail what I thought were some of the most interesting points of his video. So he suspected that the NRL fudged the official crowd figure. He thought it was more like between 25 and 35,000. The official crowd figure was over 40,000 at 40,746. He said he thought it was a huge issue that the game wasn't on Fox Sports 1 in America for the first 18 minutes. Of course, there was that college basketball game between Xavier and Georgetown that made it shifted to Fox Sports 2 for the first 18 minutes. He described Fox Sports 2 in America as the sports television graveyard. He said that was where events go to die. He also said it was the problem was that was even a dud college basketball game as well. The Xavier Georgetown one, it wasn't even a good game of college basketball. He said it was terrible. He said that he thought that should have been moved to Fox Sports 2, not the NRL. He thought the NRL should have stayed on Fox Sports 1 in full. He said he thought that the best part about the NRL games was the intensity. He said he thought the intensity was better than those early NFL games in London, which he thought was sloppy and disjointed. He liked how the Australian commentators didn't baby the audience too much. He said, unlike some soccer commentators in the past who've gone to America and really babied the audience and explained it to them like they're stupid, the game. And he liked how the Australian commentators didn't do that. But he did think they were too overindulgent when describing the atmosphere and the crowd as well.
Yeah, look, I actually, except for the crowd numbers, I don't ever have an opinion on the validity of crowd numbers except when news comes out and proves it. Like I said a few weeks ago, there was a guy who would string together shots from the game and then use a software to count the actual crowd numbers based on that, right? Yeah, like I thought the commentating to me was just normal. You know, like it's the same as it was normal, which is good, I reckon. I don't know about the basketball, honestly. Who knows about
Yeah, well, it was just interesting to get his perspective on that. So he was saying that it was a real dud college basketball game.
It wasn't, but and then the term, it was funny because the terminology he used to describe it, I think he could have done some babying to me because I had no idea what he was. He just it was a dud basketball game, and here's all the reasons why. I'm like, no. Don't know what you're talking about, bro. It wasn't this team versus this team and blah, blah. I'm like, I don't know why that would be better. But I'll just take your word for it. Like I said, we're still talking about it. So in my mind, it was a success overall. I don't pay attention to the ratings numbers that much because, as I keep saying, like Jake Paul's a worldwide phenomenon and only gets 61,000 or 65,000 pay-per-view sales every time. Saudi Arabian boxing money laundering system. But, yeah, I'm pumped for next year. I'm definitely going next year. I'm just trying to work it out with my mate because he's got to go to a wedding in Colombia around that time, and we're trying to mesh it up so he can come along. I'll go by myself if I have to. Got to see if we're going to take the wife. You know, I don't really like Vegas, to be honest. I think it's a three day maximum before I neck myself.
You're going to do a fly in, fly out?
Well, I don't know. Work it out, you know. But, there's some good jiu-jitsu there. And I want to stop at some places like Austin, Texas, where all the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in the world go. Some other places. You know, I haven't been to the east coast of the US. I know this is off topic, but I'd love to go there. And that's what it does as well. It gives people, and like I keep saying, Las Vegas doesn't need the NRL to boost tourism, but it gives Australians an excuse to go to America to do those things they haven't done. I never ever thought it was about ratings, crowd attendees, anything like that. I always thought it was about gambling, and I still think that. But yeah, it was really good to hear his perspective, and it's like I really love the fact that there are Americans out there that like rugby league.
Yeah, a few other points to make from the video as well. He said he praised some part of the commentary. He liked how, as I said, the commentators weren't babying the audience too much. But he said one thing that annoyed him was that the commentators didn't explain to the American audience what completions mean. He thought that, well, he said when he first started following league, he couldn't work out what completions were or completion percentages were. He thought it was a pass. If you complete a pass, that was a completion. Of course, it means that you get through a set of 6.
Without handing the ball over.
That's a fair comment as an American viewer watching it. This is something the NRL would need to keep in mind for next year. As an American viewer watching, well, if you're going to just throw the word completion out there, well, you need to explain to them exactly what it means. These viewers are unfamiliar with the game and need to be told that. Another issue he has is with this. He describes it as the comically priced Watch NRL package that NRL, I guess, viewing service they've set up for an American audience. He says they want to charge $150. He says it's not worth it. He said not for a sport where many folks aren't going to be able to watch it live stateside. He said it should be more like $50 or $60. So that's another thing the NRL are going to need to keep in mind. Are they charging these American viewers too much to watch a sport that they're not familiar with? A sport that has a small fraction of the following that most US sports have. He said if you want a foot in the door, well, you got to make it accessible, and it's hard to disagree.
There's too many streaming platforms as well. Like I subscribe to UFC Fight Pass, KO, Flow Sports for my sport, and there's all these other ones, and like there's a Netflix bloody tennis and stuff like that. I subscribe to Netflix, but it's Flow Sports is expensive enough. That's like $26 a month. I ain't going to anything else. And if I was in America, I wouldn't be spending $100 on rugby league. I just wouldn't. Even though I'm a rugby league fan, I'm not going to spend $100 a year on rugby league because I'm not going to be able to watch it live anyway. So he's right about that.
And another interesting point he made was he doesn't want them to try too hard to Americanise the game. He says one of the things that's appealing to him is that the game is Australian, has an Australian feel, and that draws him to the game. So he said he thinks the NRL need to be wary of trying to Americanise it too much. He said, well, we have our American sports. We don't need a sport from another country to be Americanised. We like how it's got an Australian feel to it. I thought that was another interesting point that he made. And this was his quote, which I thought was a good one. He said, overall, the NRL's venture into America was, quote, the equivalent to a penalty field goal. Put points on the board, but it's definitely not going to win you the game. That was his summary.
Bro, what's a penalty field goal? But no, it was good. I like to get the perspective, and I thought it was a great video.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting.
And so that's honestly, guys, it's just our opinion for the week, discussing an American's perspective on the NRL games in Vegas.